This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with Violent Gentlemen. And we're glad to say we're joined probably by the main man. I think Leonard calls you the main man now in Boxing Ireland, Stephen Sharpe. Would that be correct? Are you the main man, or is Leonard trying to take the scope off himself?
No, Leonard's the main man. I'm probably the busiest man. You know, a lot of fighters are based down south as well. So, you know, in and around Dublin and that. So, we kind of end up being the busier, and you know, then maybe do a good bit of the kind of event stuff as well. But no, we all play a very important role, and Leonard does. You know what I mean? So yeah.
It's like a tri-nations now. Obviously, you're in the south. Dennis is in the north, and then Leonard's, I think, probably depending on the day of the week. Where
Dennis will laugh at this. We're not sure where Leonard is.
But obviously, it's. I know that Leonard on before, and he sort of spoke about the whole background and things of Boxing Ireland. So for anybody sort of tuning in and going, "Oh no, we're now going to get 3 hours of Sharpe on the interview," they've nothing to fear. It's not going to be that long.
No, you won't. It definitely won't be that long. I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm not mad on days anyway, so I'll keep it as short as possible.
Definitely is. So sort of, I guess I want to kick off with sort of we've had the pandemic probably the last 18 months. Obviously, Boxing Ireland played a massive part in obviously small hall boxing. Has the pandemic probably made things 10 times worse?
So the pandemic obviously affected what we were doing up north.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't been doing that down south. So has it made much of a difference? Probably not. But definitely up north, it stopped us running shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think like we're coming out of it now, but I think it's still presenting. But look, it just stopped boxing in its tracks for a period. And then it was only the bigger setups like Eddie Hearn that they were able to get going a little bit a lot quicker than guys like ourselves. You can see now the small hall boxing starting to return. Mark Dunlop had a show in Belfast last weekend. There's some in England, but there's still problems there. Particularly at the moment, obviously COVID restrictions and the hoops you got to jump through, but also then in terms of opponents as well. And you see a lot of fights falling through because of the difficulty in getting opponents. A lot of the Eastern European lads, when boxing dried up, they got work, they got jobs, and and a lot of them are in work now, and they're not going to travel, for 800,000 euro for a 4-rounder, miss time at work. So there is issues there, and you'd see kind of fights falling through, regularly because of that. But yeah, so look, obviously it impacted, what we did up north. I said we hadn't been doing that down south, so can't really say it affected something that wasn't happening,
And I guess obviously the proof's sort of in the pudding. We're just over 3 weeks away from Celtic Clash 12 in the Devonish. So I know obviously yourself and Dennis were at the Mark Dunlop show last week and sort of getting a sort of feel as to how the British Boxing Board will probably let you do things and things like that. So I guess it's sort of, for Mark, it was probably different because he was like the trial sort of version to see if this will work. And now obviously you will be show in 3 weeks' time and you go, right, well, we know people inside the inner ring are going to need to get PCR tested. They're going to have to wear face masks, and things like that. So it's still nearly in its infancy here in Belfast because you maybe do things and then the board will come up and go, no, here we have to do this, so you'll be like, what's going on? Is this a stabilizers are on sort of thing?
Yeah, like look, Mark, I was in touch with Mark because I had a fighter on his show and he was drove mad. It was a tough job trying to get the show up and running, but Dennis has since met with the British Boxing Board of Control, so we're confident enough. I suppose the most restrictive aspect of it is that working area, which takes up a lot of room in the venue. So that's gonna, particularly in the Devonish, you could see the size of it in the Europa for Mark's show. It's a really big space, so that's an issue. And then there's maybe having to bring opponents in a day early and stuff like that. And that means, these guys are working. So that's where you start to straight away encounter trying to match people. That would be for us, that would be my biggest concern, is getting everybody matched on the show. It's going to be difficult, you know. But yeah, we're confident enough. I says we're tickets are out. We know where we stand regarding capacity. We know where we stand regarding kind of the testing. I said the work area. So yeah, it's doable. It's not easy. It's expensive. But it's definitely doable. And I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a good show. It'll be great to see, you know, the lads getting back out in front of the home fans. Well, you know, particularly like Owen O'Neill, but even our own lads, a few of the fans being able to come up and watch them. So, you know, I know they're looking forward to it as well.
And like I know obviously from a pricing point of view, you know, you're probably proud of yourselves in the fact before you've been able to keep pricing cheap. You know, I know the Devonish shows before were like 30 and 50 quid, I think the tickets were, and because of the pandemic and the extra cost and everything else, you have no other choice but obviously to increase pricing. You know, I think the pricing for the shows what 50 and 90, I think, but it's for fans probably maybe looking at it and going, it's a beer night out compared to what I'm used to. There's no other way around it, because you know fighters still have to sell the tickets to get a fight, and the pricing's obviously had to reflect that because opponents have to come in 2 days early and everything else. So just sort of on the pricing, sort of like he's had no other option but to have the pricing the way it is so the show can go ahead.
Well, like, you know, before the pandemic, you know, we put 800 people into the Devonish, and we can't do that now. You know, it's more than half. You know, so there you're presented with a problem straight away. There's just not the tickets to be sold for the fighters to get the money up they need. So obviously, ticket price increases is part of how we deal with that issue. And the fighters will require to kind of bridge that gap with some sponsorship as well. It's not a massive gap. It's not the type of, you know, cost that they encountered when we had the show in Spain or when we were in Luxembourg. But it will still, the fighters will still require the support of their sponsors, you know. But yeah, the expenses in general, you know, particularly if you don't have TV, you know, or a kind of a good level of corporate sponsorship. It's difficult, you know. It's always about breaking even, and you know, and usually, you know, you're trying to recoup maybe 70% from the fighters, and then 30%, or maybe even 65, and then 35 from walk-in sponsorship and that type of thing, you know. So that's the focus is always, you know, on these small hall shows, is to break even, you know. And any small hall promoter, you know, across, you know, both England and here will tell you the same, you know.
Yeah, it's all good, you know.
But again, it's doable, you know. It's doable, and you know, with being able to have fans, you know, inside, it does take a lot of pressure off the fighters. Maybe not so much off ourselves, but it does off the fighters.
And obviously in the pandemic as well, I guess, you know, when you set out obviously in the dream of obviously promoting shows and things like that, you probably never realised that you would, you know, a pandemic would end up you'd have been Luxembourg and Alicante for shows. So it's sort of like a bucket list. You've been able to do it, boxing Ireland, and go, well, we're boxing Luxembourg, we're boxing Alicante. I know when I spoke to Leonard previously for about 50 hours, he was obviously maybe saying potentially maybe we're doing a show once a year in Alicante as well. So it's opened up different avenues, you know, as well. How much different was it to organise, or was it easier or harder to put them shows on?
I suppose, look, so Luxembourg was handy enough, you know. It was a kind of a co-promotion, you know. We took a percentage of the show, flew over. That was handy enough. Well, wasn't it great, you know? It was a hall, you know, with a ring stuck in the middle of it. There was no fans there, you know, in attendance. It was handy enough. Like that, the dust that settled on the Spain show, like, you know, the truth, it was a fucking nightmare. It was the most stressful. It was, you know, like because beforehand I was going, nice, you know, sure, I'll book it, you know, I'll go over and I'll spend a week over there. Like I remember just after the show, just sitting, you know, they're going, I want to just go home. I was wrecked. Like it was stressful. Like you're you know, you're in an unknown country as such, you know, things start going wrong. you're dependent on other people. You can't really fix the problems yourself. It was really tough, and not something that I'd be willing really to do again. But definitely, working in collaboration with someone like we worked with Koke over there. Koke is a sound guy, really good guy. I think in future, maybe Koke would be the promoter over there, and we'd just take the slots. And that's what I like. That's what Connor and his boys are doing at the moment as well, and it just works better. It takes a lot of that stress. But it was an achievement, for us to be able to go to another country and run a show, and it's something that we're proud of. And it was a good show. It was a very, very well matched show. We didn't walk out with it. Everyone didn't walk out with wins, So there were good, strong opponents, and I think that's a team. And it's something that, you got to give Leonard credit for. He's a really good matchmaker. And we don't, if you're trying to build a brand, there's no point in bringing in fellas that are going to fall over. There's just no point in it, Good fights, hopefully within your crowd, there's a couple of, kind of mainstream, lukewarm boxing fans, who are enthralled by some of these fights, and and you start to build a bit of a reputation. And I think Celtic Clash, in fairness, has done that. We have done that. There's been some incredible. If I walk away tomorrow, I'll be really proud of some of the shows and some of the fights that we've had on them.
And I guess probably Leonard maybe looking at it for Alicante as a different reason. If we're out of pandemic times and probably things are back to normal. Some of the obstacles you maybe had, and opponents with COVID testing and things like that, it may have run smoother. So I guess it's probably an option maybe to have, to go. Obviously, I know he's linked up with Kevin Maree as well. He's obviously probably, I think he says he's the largest stable in Europe, the amount of fighters. But they've obviously, in collaboration with Vitson, with Malta and things like that. So when you can tick off different wee countries, sometimes out of a pandemic, it may be easier to run. But then it's making it easier for fans to get there as well, I suppose.
Yeah, just to clarify, so there is something in the pipeline for a show in Spain, but it would be a different format than what we it'd be kind of a collaboration piece where it'd be kind of Irish versus Spanish type of idea in a more kind of one of the holiday resorts over there. So that's what Leonard was talking about, and it's something that we're really open to. But yeah, look, it's about as I said, Koke over there in Spain, and really nice guy. It's good to have kind of developed relationships with him, and then through, trying to find matches and stuff like that, and we developed good links over there as well. And that's what it's. You're trying to broaden. You're trying to create links. You've mentioned our partnership with Kevin, and that's all part of that idea. Of providing our fighters, pathways. I'd work kind of close enough with Sam Kinnock as well, and so it's just trying, like Mark Dunlop, and friend, like Mark gave us a slot in his show, and that's what it needs to be about. The frustrating thing for me, Stephen, is like developing all these pathways, all these partnerships, all these guys. I got someone on one of Sam's shows now, fell through. Kev, obviously Jamie's off Kevin's show. Again, the opponent issue. So there's just lots of issues at the moment, that are impacting on shows. But the frustrating thing is we're building all these. I can't have a show in our own country, kind of in the south of Ireland, and that for me is is the most frustrating part of all this. And I pick Sam for instance, because it's a really good setup he has over there, and he's doing great work. And I've been at some of the shows over there. I was at one show in the Trump Hotel. The Trump Hotel.
Trump Hotel, I think it is.
Deadly somehow, but and the likes of Kev, the likes of Sam, they're able to run shows as well themselves, and and where in the south of Ireland, we can't do that, and it's so frustrating, and it can only, and I speak for myself when I say this, you can only try for so long, you can only try for so, how long more do we keep trying to flog it, a dead horse, a dead donkey? I don't know which that phrase is, but it becomes frustrating. Like I've 3 kids, full-time job, like, and Leonard's the same, Dennis is the same, obviously Dennis, we can run shows up north, but for, Boxing Ireland Promotions future, we have to be able to run shows in the south, and to be honest, we're starting to flag, we're starting to go, what's the point here? Like, yeah.
It's like I had Connor Slater on the other week as well, and obviously, the sort of rigmarole with Connor, it seems to be there's a fallout and things with the BUI, and I was sort of saying to Connor as well, like it's well documented the costs and stuff involved in running shows in the south, and obviously he's taking fighters and putting them in shows everywhere else, because realistically, when you look at it and you go, I can do a show in Belfast, I can do a show in Spain, I can do a show in Belgium, do a show such and such, and they're all cheaper than the south of Ireland to run a show. So, like, obviously I know you'll have regular contact and stuff like that with the BA to do things, and we don't really sort of want to go down the path of sort of calling the BA out so much, but like I'd seen a picture last night of they've announced a new belt, and it's not the BA, it's announced it, I'd be of the belief that in every Irish show, there should at least be a BA Celtic or a BA Irish title fight. They're supposed to be the linchpin of Irish boxing for shows. I'm going to say this, and probably I hope Mel probably won't take it the bad way, but he's happy to take fees for running shows, but not happy to actually promote the best of boxing here.
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna get into it kind of any particular, like there's a number of issues, kind of historically, there's the whole insurance, for what we want to create. We're not in competition with the bigger promoters. That's never what it's about, like we can, if you look at how the Premiership in England works, there's Premiership, there's League 1, League 2, League 3. We just want to create a small hall, vibrant professional boxing scene in the south of Ireland. That's what we want to do, and see where it goes from there. We've had false starts on it. We've always stayed in our lane. There's been a fair few over there, even since we came back on the scene. There's been plenty of people have come in, and gone as quickly, sunk themselves very quickly, trying to get too big too quick, we've never done that. You know what I mean? We've always kind of stayed in our lane, knowing what we're about, giving lads opportunities, and over time, if you give enough lads opportunity, you start to, you do start to develop prospects from that, over time. We just haven't been able to do that. And then there's loads of, so there's obviously the insurance, there's an indemnity insurance issue in Ireland, rip-off Republic, so there's, it's just another symptom of that, how things are politically in this country. But so extortionate prices for insurance. The car insurance industry has been kind of caught out there a while ago. So there's that issue, okay, and Brexit kind of made that worse because English companies pulled out of Ireland, and we were getting our insurance off English companies. We weren't getting them off Irish companies. So that's one issue. Then there's the venue issue. So we're a small hall setup, okay. We don't have many fighters that do beyond 80 to 100 tickets. Yeah, we don't have many of them at all. So we don't need big venues. We don't need to be running shows in the National Stadium. We don't need to be running them in the basketball arena. We don't need that size of a venue. GAA hotels, GAA, like we that show. I don't know whether you ever out there. We had a couple, 2 or 3 Celtic clashes in the Good Council, GAA in Drimnagh. Now there was a few guys on Twitter slagging us off about that. I'm perfectly fine with running shows. That's where we're at. We don't have TV, we don't have big financial backing. I'm perfectly all right with running shows at that level till we can build things. The problem is none of them want professional boxing. They don't want to host it, So that means we're being forced into the National Stadium, being forced into the, and these are the issues. So like, or the professional boxing needs someone to recognise this,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and make the required changes so that you know, small hall promoters like ourselves can start to develop, start to build that business, and that just hasn't happened. You know what I mean? And as I said, you can only, you know, we've done a lot. I know, look, people probably roll their eyes at this, but you know, if you take personalities out of it, you know, obviously there's some people just like me, and you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you take all of that out of it and look at what we've done, you know, and like even the media, like, and I've kind of like a lot of the media, they spend their time slating Irish boxing and getting all, you know, the whole drama, you know, but they don't really back, like, we haven't got much backing from them. I don't think we have. Leonard kind of disagrees with me a little bit, but nobody's come in, you know, and really looked at what we're trying to do, or looked at what we've done.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's kind of it's a mess. It's a bit of a mess. You know what I mean? And as I said, look, unless something changes pretty quick, I'm not sure whether I'll be around or be involved in professional boxing for this time next year. No, probably will. That's good, fine. But you can only invest so much time and so much effort. But like you can feel like you're just, you know, you're talking to the wall.
Do you think sometimes boxing's probably too small a monopoly for, you know, I know with the pandemic and everything else, we've had the European Super Cup. Is it the Super Cup in Belfast? The Chelsea and Chelsea playing the final. I can't remember who Chelsea played in the final there. I've lost focus on football now as well. But obviously, to give you a prime example, with the Super Cup in Belfast, with obviously the British Formula One Grand Prix, obviously all football and stuff return, it brings in big money, where it brings political powers sort of they wave a flag for them and go, no, it's okay, you don't need to do COVID testing, blah blah blah. This, you bring a lot of money, whereas particularly in the south, probably, you know, it's probably the same as with every government. They see as boxing doesn't bring in enough capital, they really support it. You know, only after another successful Olympics, Kelly Harrington getting gold and Aidan Walsh bringing home a bronze, and you're sort of going, where's the thing to support boxing? Now's the time for the government to get involved and go, why are we not having professional boxing in the south of Ireland? If it's the insurance companies that are the massive issue, why are they not putting pressure on insurance companies to go, well, here, how long? Why are you charging this when you'll charge this for kickboxing or MMA? It seems as if boxing's a black sheep that sort of can't move anywhere.
Like, if you look, like Jordan the Celtic Tiger over here, the Bernard Dunn era, you know, boxing was booming, it was on RT. And then when the crash happened, like, boxing was the first, like, you know, boxing was kind of the first thing that RTE shelved. Like, when you look at the success of our amateur boxers, and then you look at the, you know, how the IABA is run, you're going, what is going on? Like, you know, so boxing hasn't done itself any favors either. But there's a tendency, and particularly, like, I get why the media, I get the whole corporate kind of thing around media, and you know, they go where the sponsorship is and the audience is. I get all that, but you know, but there's, like, obviously boxing hasn't done itself, you know, any favors either. But at the same time, I think for me, like, it's, if we like the broader mainstream audience is really, it's shrinking. Like, you know, if we don't do something quick, it's going to be very, very difficult to revive professional boxing in the south of Ireland. Like, we don't, like, it's mad, even we don't really even have many household names. Like, I'm looking at, like, for instance, Gary Cully. He is exceptional. He is absolutely exceptional. Nobody, I walk out onto the street, nobody knows who Gary Cully is. You know, only, you know, that's the danger. That's the danger. And with the amateur boxing, the same, like, obviously there's Kelly Harrington, but they drop out. They're dropped out of the picture very, very quickly. But I just think, look, we can go on about all the, at the end of the day, there's an opportunity, to everything is built from grassroots. Everything, comes from, and I think that there's an opportunity, we're willing, Boxing Ireland Promotions, and I'm sure others will get involved if they, and you need that competition as well, but we're willing to run kind of small hall, low budget shows, over there. And I've given this commitment to the Boxing Union of Ireland that we'll give a commitment, an absolute commitment to run 6 over the next 24 months, and start to just get, even if it's even in the local media, starting to cover boxing again, starting to put it back into the conversation, starting to put it back into the narrative, and see where it goes. And that will eventually open the door, for the bigger promoters to come in and bigger shows to come in, and for our lads, that's what our lads needs as well, is that goal, being able to have kind of something in sight, if I do well and I can build myself, there is other platforms that I can get involved on. But it's a complicated, issue, and there's a couple of different levels to it.
I'm just thinking of the tagline for it. Let's make boxing great again for the south of Ireland. That's it's probably cheesy in a way, but you need to be given the opportunity to start the wheels in motion. Like if Eddie Hearn, say for instance, tomorrow decided, Katie Taylor, we're going to have a fight for you in the 3 Arena, or you're going to go to Croke Park. Everything is sort of, over the last few years, it's sort of happened here. Insurance companies would probably bend over backwards to obviously have a fight here. Everybody would do everything in their power to sort of make the show happen, and you're going, but what about the rest? What about the rest of professional boxers want to fight in the south of Ireland? I know boxers won't really criticise of it too much, but fighters you have in the south, you're sort of going, oh yeah, you're fighting in Belfast. Well, why can I not fight in Dublin? And you're sort of having them daily struggles. That make it fair for everybody. Let you do your small hall boxing first and see how it gets on. Then Eddie Hearn can use as a linchpin to go, right, now we can bring Katie back.
Yeah, and look, I don't know the exact number, but I'm the named manager for, I think, could be 20 pros down the south at the moment. You know what I mean? There's only so long you can fob them off, saying, look, we're working on this and we're working on that, and we've tried, like we've really tried, even during the pandemic, we did try get something going in Dublin as well. So we have been trying. We've, the amount of time I've spent with insurance, trying to talk to insurance companies. So we put a lot of effort in. But even big, like even if Katie came back, and no doubt she'd fill whatever arena Eddie brought her back to. It's still a cyclical approach to professional boxing, and then Eddie will go, and then what next then? And I think it has to be, the difference has to be recognised. And support, like small hall shows supported more. And whether that's going to happen or not. You can probably hear that. It's kind of getting tiresome now. It's kind of getting tiresome. We've done everything. We've done everything in our power, and we've stayed quiet. We haven't gone, blown our mouths off, to the likes of yourself and criticising people. We haven't done that. We've just put our head down and continued to work with it. But look, as I said, I'm ready to announce a Dublin show for November. I'm ready. The posters are done. The venue is booked. But there's just a delay on it. I'm concerned for the show, to be honest with you. I'm concerned for the show. Everything's sorted. It's in partnership with Martin Hogan. Martin's from Cork. He's a very, very experienced promoter. He's done one professional boxing show 3 years ago in Cork. He's done so many big Muay Thai shows. A really good guy. He's a good guy to have involved in boxing. Myself and Leonard worked with him when he was the only show in Cork and built a good rapport with him. Stayed in touch. We talk all the time. He's a really, really good guy and somebody that's really good to have involved in professional boxing. So, the idea is that we'll we'll share the basketball arena. He'll do his show during the day, professional boxing event. It'll be at night. So that straight away solves one of the problems around us having to pay thousands for this big fucking venue that we don't need.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one problem solved. And then there's loads of other usages that we can have. Security, and insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a perfect recipe. Martin wants to work with us. We have a plan. Like Martin's end game is in the tree arena. That's where his end game is. And he's confident enough that we can take boxing on that route with him. It's going to be difficult. And that's the idea. That's the plan process. The venue, like everything is ready to go. Even so far as like we've this kind of lighting, it's booked, the lighting rig, this massive thing. It's never been done before.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not in a small to medium show. Definitely not in the stadium or in the basketball arena. Just in terms of the kind of plan we have for the lighting and stuff. But like that, there's a bit of a stall on it. And I would be concerned.
And the last thing you want to do is to announce the show, and then obviously having to call it off and things like that. So you want to make sure everything's in place, because you have to start paying for things as well.
Yeah, when Martin, like we've been talking with Martin for over a year now, So we've known this has been in the pipeline, and we've another one planned for after. Like there's a couple of things planned there, But obviously, so I've been kind of telling lads, particularly the southern lads, look, this is going to happen. And the reason I'm saying it's going to happen is because, one, it helps us resolve the insurance issue, the venue issue. So it ticks the boxes on loads of that stuff. And then I'm going, considering there has been no professional boxing in so long in Ireland, I put money on it that the BOI will be only happy to make it happen. Things haven't really transpired how I thought they were going to. So we're going to have to wait and see, But the last thing I want to do is pick up the phone and tell the lads. And even with the Belfast show, obviously we couldn't put. There's only so many we could put on, and all the rest of them are going, look, be announcing thought the Dublin show would have been announced by now. To be honest, and I'm saying, look, we're gonna put you on that, and I just hope we don't have to go back and tell them. Actually, that's not happening.
It's not happening.
We'll just see.
It's one of them things, like every time we see a show announced, we sort of have the selfishness when we see the shows happening in Belfast, but then we're sort of, people that obviously follow our page and things like that, and even obviously Joe and Johnny and stuff, we're sort of going, we'll see he's in Belfast again. You can't not feel bad, even though we're Belfast based. We want to be able to say we're going on an away trip, we're going to Dublin, we're going to, wherever, we're going to Kerry, we're going to Dundalk. We want to say we're going somewhere different, because it's Irish boxing today. We want to see both sides. Like, I wouldn't like the shoe to be underfoot, and all the shows been in Dublin, and every sort of month going to Dublin for a show, whereas when you can mix it all up together, it's only going to do more greater things for boxing. You're going to get more people turning over, because they then see that it's not just amateur boxing. You have a way. I can actually box in the south of Ireland. It's a bucket list thing for people.
Like Belfast it's unreal. I suppose it's the capital city of boxing, and there's a big interest in boxing, but it's the exposure is there, and it's fed. That hunger for boxing is fed. And that just helps it to grow and grow and grow. And that's why, when you look like even you have Mark up there, what I mean? You have MTK. There's so many different angles to it. The amount of pros in Northern Ireland at the moment. So yeah, because the exposure is there, it just feeds it, and it's really healthy up there. And the same should be. It should be no different down here. It should be like if there was a healthy professional boxing scene down here, I can guarantee it, some of the bigger names would hang on, or even hang on initially, again, and we're always very clear with lads when we sign, we acknowledge, we don't, sign them with trickery. You know, we don't engage in the black arts. You know, we're very, very clear with them. We can take it to this level, and hopefully, you know, we can get you a deal with so and so and so and so. That's where it's at. But like as I said, there should be no reason why it's not the same. But just things are so much more straightforward. Up there, you know, things are so much. You know, where it's like we're going to run a show. This is what we have to do. This is this. This is that. Done.
Yeah, but it should be everywhere.
You'll encounter one or two kickbacks on opponents. That's it. Do what you're told. This is what you have to do. If you have an issue, you know, why can't we do that? Because it states here you can't. Fair enough. Very, very great. You, Russell, absolute legend, man. He's brilliant.
Yeah,
he's so accommodating. He's so he's an amazing guy. He really is. Just and they all are, but you in particular, his heart is for the fighters. You know, he makes wherever he can. Like he's looking to be helpful to them, and he's just So yeah, we've had a really positive experience up there. Really positive, and but my interest doesn't lie in Belfast boxing, and I'll be honest, and I've never said any different. You know what I mean? My interest is down the south. My interest is, you know, is boxing in the Republic of Ireland. And as I said, yeah, well, as I said, we're not looking, you know, let us have a small hall, let us have a kind of a third division, healthy boxing scene down here, and see what can happen from it. You know, but it needs consistency. There needs to be consistency. We need to know where the goalposts are, and that they're not moved every 10 minutes. That this is what we have to do, you know, and then we could possibly. And it won't take long before a couple of shows before, you know, I could probably, you know, get into a smaller venue. Do you know what I mean? But considering all really the media there was really print a lot of shite about professional boxing. That's all that people are seeing. You know what I mean? They're not seeing that now. So like once we can get something moving, that will change. You know, I'm confident that will change. We ran how many shows we ran down south, and we've never had one issue. Never had. I think there might have been one small fight broke out in all the shows. There was nothing. There's no issue with professional boxing.
Was that because Leonard brought a fiver out, was it?
Which?
Was that because Leonard brought a fiver out and everybody says you and me that fiver?
Yeah. It was Dennis. It was Leonard and Dennis having a go of each other.
Over he was going to change out of buying a ton of coke.
I must also say, I don't feel like in terms of Belfast, like I'm not really the one to be like Dennis. In fairness, Dennis does all the graft up there. You know what I mean? He brought he's done a really good job. He's brought it all together. When you look at the sponsors he's brought in, and he's really good at developing relationships as well. Like you know, with those, you know, you need to be involved, you know, to run a show. So he's done a really good job. You know.
Definitely does, and obviously anything that keeps him out of the house, I think, obviously, as missus is obviously feeling the pain of.
I seen a photo. They obviously had a new baby in Madrid. I seen a photograph of the two of them this morning. Gee, they look banjo.
I just want an hour's sleep somewhere, you know. So the sooner boxing's obviously back in the main scale, Dennis can maybe find a corner of the arena to sleep in. Sort of wanted to touch a wee bit more on obviously the partnership with Kevin Maree. In terms of the partnership, is it more opportunities for fighters to fight in England, Scotland, Wales, and everything else, or is obviously the plan maybe to get more backing for shows here, and maybe potentially, because I know Kevin's linked with Fight Zone as well, and maybe getting the Fight Zone cameras across for one of the shows? Yeah,
100%. All of that. Again, I go back to, you know, we need to have to again, everything now is like everything is hinged on us being able to run shows in the South. You know, that's what it has boiled down to now at this stage. Because we need our fighters to be busy to be able to make that transition, you know. And then the idea, obviously, is co-promoted events over here. You know, with Fight Zone. Also then, like matching our fighters with Kev's on shows over there as well. So it just gives loads. It gives loads of different avenues, and then just fighters fighting on each other's shows and that. Now obviously Jamie Morrissey was the fight in Oldham on Saturday night. That his opponent fell through. And fairness to Kev, man, he worked his socks off for the last 3 days, trying to get an opponent. And he pulled one out of the hat last night, but the guy was it was too heavy, like, you know, it wouldn't work. So we just felt the safest thing, well, it wasn't even the safest thing, like, the lads were due to fly out this morning. So last night we had to make the tough call and go, look, Kev, we really appreciate what you've done, but we got to pull this, because there's no point in Jamie and his team arriving over there and then and not being able to get an opponent, because as I said, it's a really difficult situation. That's my biggest concern for Belfast is just getting all the matches. So I'm harassing Leonard every day, matchmaker to try and, but even it doesn't even work like that. It's not like you can say, oh yeah, well, we do it 4 weeks out, that's the only secure opponent, because it never, like the Spanish show, we'd Leonard had all the matchmaking done, just say by the Thursday before, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then as we entered into fight week on the Tuesday, we lost 3/4 of the card in about 3 hours. Just everyone fell off. We're going, oh shit. And we've done this a few times over the years, 3-way Zoom call, me, Leonard, Dennis. First question, will we pull it? No, we won't pull it. Okay, let's go and try and mend that. And we got there eventually. And we lost one fight, Cathy McAleer's fight, and we lost that on the night after the weigh-in and all. That's when we lost that fight. So, yeah.
Poor Cathy's had no luck. I think she's had 3 or 4 fights now cancelled this year. She's supposed to fight.
She's out this weekend in London. This weekend?
She was supposed to be. It's been cancelled as well. The show was completely cancelled. So okay. I think she's now 3 or 4. I think she just seems to have the rotten luck.
Is that the Leeds show, or is that
London?
London. I think there's one gone in Leeds as well. I think.
It's, I guess, as you sort of touched on at the start, the problem sometimes at the minute isn't the pandemic. There's too many shows on and not enough fighters to have on the show. So
it's not even that there's too many shows, because like before the pandemic, there was the amount of shows in England every week. It's not that. It's like it's the shortage of opponents. Like we've got some really good offers for our lads, like to go in. Like, because they're not able to find, so that like they're having to take more risks, and that, like, I suppose that's the other thing. Like anybody, for fighters kind of looking for whatever reason, looking for soft matches, like need to be very careful at the moment, because they're not around, and it's easy to come undone, whether you're not going in fully fit or whatever it may be, and you go, oh, I got a handy one. There's not a lot of handy ones out there at the moment, and as I said, a lot of the Eastern Europeans are not traveling. So that's weird.
And obviously, probably on that subject, we probably had Dominic out last week in Mark Dunlop's show, and I guess the plan was obviously to get him back. His plan was to get back to winning ways and sort of get himself back into things. And as it shows, his boxing probably during the pandemic, Eddie Hearn obviously at the minute with the zone, there's no easy fights. Dominic was looking good for probably, I would say, like my personal opinion, probably, and it's maybe the fact that I'm friendly with Dominic and everything else and sort of supporting the home fighter, I would have given him the nod in the night, because you sort of you really get a point up sort of when you're a home fighter at times. And I thought Dominic probably aged at like 39, 38, 39, 37, what sort of way. But obviously it just seemed to be that his confidence has sort of taken a knock, with his first defeat in Luxembourg when he shouldn't have been beaten. And now it's sort of as if it's taking him backwards a bit, where he's going, I'm doing everything right in the gym, I've changed to Tony David, and now it just seems to be he's going, I've made the change, and nothing's improved. But you just go through that mud hole sometimes in boxing.
Yeah, it's not an ability issue. Like, we've seen that, like, from particularly Dom's first couple of fights, like he was really good. So it's not, I mean, now he's good, and he's, he wasn't a bad amateur, so we know it's not a natural ability thing. It's not like you look and go, you know what, they've hit a ceiling there. That's as good as it's going to get for them. That's not the case. It's obviously he's hit a wall. You know, I was speaking to someone the other night actually. You know, I won't say who, like, but you know, definitely within his weight and anyway, and definitely going to meet at some stage. And he was saying, like, he acknowledged, like, without me even saying that, like, that, like, Dom is a good fighter, like. Dom can whack, you know, he can look after himself. And that wasn't Dom in there. Now it's not for me to go in, you know, other stuff, you know, there can be any circumstances that can impact and affect how somebody performs as well. So yeah, Dom just needs to maybe do a little bit of have a little look at some stuff. He was super fit. I watched him in the gym sparring, and he was really, really good, really sharp just the week before. But look, if he goes off and he gets sorted what needs to be sorted, gets back, you know, a win or two, and who cares about what happened, you know? If you can get a win or two, it'll also maybe improve his chances of getting a good opportunity, because people are going to look and go, yeah, he's not too bad. And it says, we do know how good he is, you know, but he does obviously. It's like a wall. You were beside me. I was seconding down in the corner, and he just seemed to. I said it to you. I don't know whether you remember this. In the second round, it was just something very small. He just took a back step, and I turned around to you, and Dennis was there and says, he's just taking a back step there, and that was it. That's all that opponent needed. You know, and that took the that was the format that the fight took then.
Yeah.
You know, but look, Dom wants out straight away, you know. But I think he just needs, like, there's some stuff he needs to look at, because another loss, and you know, like, he's put, like, there is a bit of pressure in the next fight. He needs to go and he needs to win. So he just needs to make sure that he sorts out what needs to be sorted out, that he can just focus on that, you know.
Yep, definitely is. Probably the busiest sort of division it sort of classifies two divisions, obviously, in Ireland. You know, you have the light heavy / super middleweight division. I took one name out of it actually when I was speaking to Robbie Burke last week. Paddy McCrory obviously messaged and he says, why have you not mentioned me in that? And I was saying, well, you're away from the domestic scene, so it's not fair to sort of mention Paddy into that. But obviously you have Kevin Cronin, Jamie Morrissey, Sean McGlinchey, Julio Cesar, and then you could probably add in Taylor McGoldrick, who's obviously with MTK. But it's nearly getting to the stage where you could probably nearly do like a Super 6 tournament. You know, it's probably that. I would probably say everybody's sort of on a level sort of playing field. You know, there's nobody that's light years ahead of everybody else in terms of ability and everything else. But it must be great for you as a stable to have so many potential fights that could be easily made.
Yeah, and you've hit the nail on the head with that particular weight division. And yeah, there's some, like, I mean, Kev and Bucky, they've been, you know, they've been at it a little bit about fighting each other. Jamie fight anybody. So there's fights there, you know, and I just keep harping back to, we need a platform for them. Yeah. You know, there is 0 point in bringing Kevin Cronin from Kerry up to Belfast. Pointless, absolutely pointless. You know, Jamie Morrissey, Limerick to Belfast, pointless. You know, so these are all really good fights, but we need the platform. We need a platform for them. You know what I mean? But good lads, working hard. You know, I need, like, hopefully, will Bucky be out in Belfast? Jamie, put Jamie on Belfast last night.
Yeah, I think Jamie broke the news last night, and I'd sort of messaged him straight away, and I was like, can't wait. You know, it was sort of like it was nearly like a wee soother for him when the fight's off, going, don't worry, we'll have you out in 3 weeks in Belfast. And I was probably the first thought in his head, he's probably going, happy days.
Yeah, well, we were initially going to put him on in Belfast. It was a kind of an all-Irish fight we were looking at. Kind of fell through for Belfast, but hopefully will happen in Dublin. So he was due to be on Belfast, and then when that fight fell through, we pulled him back, because the further away from Dublin, the further south the lads are, the less inclined we are to put them on the Belfast show, because it's just it's a further distance, you know. So we were saying, look, hold out for Dublin. But look, he put a camp in. He was really disappointed. So yeah, look, we squeezed him on.
Definitely is. I think I've sort of kept it bang on limit. Obviously, I know that you sort of had about an hour.
Yeah, I've a Zoom call now at 11.
So it's obviously just bang on
Me
11.
real job.
Real job.
Yeah.
But I pretty much planned it rightly there. Pretty much it's just under an hour. And as I say, I promised everybody at the start it wouldn't be as long as Leonard. So we obviously thank you, Stephen, for coming on and having a chat with us. It's
No
great
problem.
it's great that obviously we have that personal connection and thing at shows and stuff as well. And it's great to hear your insight into things. For anybody watching, I'm sure they'll see the passions there. You know, it's not like I know sometimes you can have a wee rant and things on social media, but it's a passion that's there that everybody wants in boxing, you know, and I think what Boxing Ireland doing, it's not sort of bumming he's up too much, but these are three passionate men that just want to get the best out of boxing for the fighters you represent. So keep being you, Stephen. If you need another wee rant or anything like that, you obviously know how to get in touch, and we can get you smiling again and enjoying life.
You know, most of the time Leonard just tells me to say it. You know that, don't you?
Yeah. So that's why there's fights when the fivers come out, because Leonard owes everybody a fiver.
Yeah.
Well, look, obviously, well, thank you much for your time. We'll see you 3 weeks' time today. We'll see you in Belfast for Celtic Clash 12.
Please God.
All right. Cheers, Stephen. Take
Good
care.
man. Thanks, Stephen.
Bye bye. Bye bye.